Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Dlovu, and I am going to go through a short presentation of some configurations that I made uh, in the cloud that belongs in the cloud environment that belongs to SWBTL. So one of the problems that SWBTL was having was that users from different resource groups they were able to pretty much access resources in other resource groups. So take for instance, if I were to give an example, people from an accounting resource group would be able to access things from a marketing resource group, uh, of which those containers were designed to kind of like isolate those resources such that when permissions are properly implemented, um, there is hardly any situation whereby users can hop into, other um, other resource groups without without the proper permissions. So, looking at the business requirements, I would just try and go through the business requirements, the key business requirements. Um, which kind of like define the key things that needed to be done on this cloud environment, so that at the end of the day I come up with a solution that is more secure. So one of the key business requirements that I remember from the top of my head was creating key vaults. So key vaults had to be created for all three resource groups, and that way having those three key vaults would having each resource group have its own key vault would then separate users in a way such that they won't be able to hop into other resource groups and be able to access resources in that resource group. So the other requirement was to create a backup policy that is going to back up all the files or the Azure storage files. But unfortunately, just um, because of the subscription that we have in this environment at the moment, it doesn't allow us to be able to access file shares. Therefore, it made it a little bit impossible for one to be able to create a backup solution for files. So what I did, I had to just backup VMs, which are virtual machines. Um, and then the rest of it is just talks about the backup frequency, the backup retention, uh, whereas the requirements require me to be able to configure the backups to always start at 7 p.m. And have an RPO of 1 day and an RTO of 36 hours. This backup policy is to be named SWBTL, just to make things easier. So, just going into the lab here, I'm just gonna try and explain something. I did not delete the key vaults which I found, or the key vaults that were created upon launching this lab. So these are the key vaults that I just marked over there. So as you can see, the accounting key vault was assigned to the marketing resource group. So which simply means that the people in the marketing resource group will be able to see things in the accounting resource group merely because they have the accounting key vault. So they have the keys, and therefore that makes it easier for them to uh, to be able to see resources or to access resources in other in that particular resource group. So this mix-up is the very reason why there were issues. Is the very reason why people were able to see resources in other resource groups, even though they are not part of that resource group. So these resource groups are like departments. So people in the marketing department were able to see things in the accounting department, as well as you can see, well, the people in the IT resource group had the finance key vaults. So which means people in the IT will be able to see things in the finance or accounting department. Same as the accounting department resource group was assigned the marketing key vault. So that mix up is the one that was causing issues. So now that I've demonstrated or explained this, I'm just going to delete them because we do not need them. We do not need them. These keywords, as I have already created keywords that we are going to um, use for the lab. I was just trying to see the option that gives me uh, the option that allows me to delete these keywords since we do not need them. So I believe I just have to open that keyboard and then I have to simply say delete. Once deleted, it's going to be gone. And I'm just going to keep the ones that I created. The ones that I created are the ones that have a 3 in the key. So the key would say K3Y. So those are the ones that I created myself. So I'm just going to get rid of these ones just to make things easier. So as you can see, it's deleting them. I'm getting rid of all um, the 3 key vaults that were created, that were mixed up, that were misconfigured. So this misalignment is one of the things that I was supposed to fix and I fixed. So moving forward on the on some of the things that I was supposed to do on the lab, I'll just scroll all the way down and start on looking at one of the requirements, which was having Arabic configurations, which are simply role-based access controls. So these role-based access controls, they would pretty much also help in kind of like streamlining permissions to a certain group of users, probably in a user in a resource group. So take for instance, if we jump into the if we go to resource groups and then we jump into the accounting resource group, and then we're going to go to the IAM access control, and then we're going to look at the role assignments. So one of the things that I created was the Arabic. I created custom um, role-based access controls for users who belong to the accounting department. So this group only has, I think I would like to think that this group only has like 3 members. Um, so it's going to be the accounting full, which should be able to see us to show us the 3 members that belong to that particular group. So if we go back, to our settings, we'll realize that only these users who belong to the accounting resource groups um, will be the only ones who will be able to access resources in the accounting resource group. So these role-based access controls will kind of like streamline and limit access or give permission only to the three users that I just showed um, in this group of accounting users. I would like to check. Um, yes, yes, this is correct. This is correct. Excuse me, I was just getting slightly confused. So moving forward, the other thing that I created were policies. I created a policy that is going to require resources to be tagged. So this is the policy that I created. As you can see, right now it is not compliant because it was just recently created, and I would like to think that as time goes on, it's going to refresh and it's going to be compliant. So this will allow us to pretty much tag all resources that are in the environment, such that there won't be any confusion as to where does this belong to. We would know that, okay, this resource belong to the accounting department or accounting resource group, or this one belongs to IT resource group. So that makes it easier for us. Moving forward, as you can see, the um, IT resource group also has um, its access is also limited to service desk users. So the way I was figuring out uh, who is part of which group was simply using Microsoft Enter, which is the old Microsoft AD, Active Directory. So I would simply come here and search for a group, and then take, for instance, if you look for the IT resource group, you would then open that IT resource group and then check the owners. Now simply check them the group memberships. Yes, and then the group memberships will show us that, oh, this resource has a group membership of service desk users. So then if you check the members, you'd find out that um, there's the service desk right there, which pretty much appears to only have one user, who is David Cully. So um, moving forward, I'll just go back to all the other resource groups just to try and move on to the marketing one. So the marketing one was also pretty much designed the same way all other resource groups were designed, whereby access is only limited to marketing users. Um, and then we make sure that they also have like custom role-based access controls. So the first thing that I would do was simply coming here and add a custom role, and then I would name the custom role. I would just call this one example, and then I'll say let me just call it example marketing, so that we don't get confused. And then the description, I'll just say RBAC um, um, marketing. And then I would then start it from scratch. If I wanted to just clone a row, I could just simply do that. But I was making sure that I kind of like get to play a big role in assigning permissions. You know, um, that way we won't have people being kind of like over assigned permissions, because if we just go with the built-in permissions, sometimes it can give them more than that what they need. So then if you would move to permissions, you then come and say a permission, um, and then, well, if it was an IT group, I was going to give them Azure Active Directory, but I can give these ones Bing search, and then say permission, and then we add right there. Um, and then if we also open permissions, we can look for something else that they can be given. We can give them access to Microsoft apps. That way, when they launch their VMs or their virtual machines, they'll be able to launch any Microsoft applications that we have a subscription with. So if it's going to be Outlook, if it's going to be Microsoft Word, they should be able to, to access that. So this is being assigned to a whole marketing resource group, and then you move on to the assigned scope. So the assigned scope is the marketing resource group. This just stays as it is. We cannot change much about that. And then the next step is just reviewing and creating. And then it takes a minute, and then um, it creates that custom role. And then the next step would be simply assigning that custom role. It takes a couple minutes for it to populate. Then now we come and say add role. The members for marketing will just keep it, you know, to the marketing users. So let me check real quick. I can come to home and then go to enter. Then look at the marketing resource group. Marketing resource group. If I open it right here and then look for the group memberships, then I now know that, the marketing underscore users are the users that I'm going um, to grant role-based access control. So then we come here, we then say marketing, then we look for the green one. It makes it easier. So the marketing underscore users, let me just marketing underscore, okay, it's right here. And then you say select, then it's now added over here. Then here you just say Arabic for marketing users. So we're just trying to make it easy, um, by describing what it's all about. So I forgot to put the role because I was waiting for it to populate. So now if I come here and say marketing users, so this is the custom. As you can see, it says custom over here. So this is the custom. I'm just demonstrating this, but I really didn't. Okay, it says it failed. So there's something that I didn't do right. Let's see what caused it to fail. Okay. We're just gonna do it again. Add a row. Our back. We say marketing. That's the custom row that we created. And then we say next, and then we look for the members, which is the marketing underscore users. So these users, and then you select them. And then we put the description right there. The description, and then we move on the row. We already selected the row, we already selected the members, and then the reason why it's failing is because there's already a row-based access control that was implemented. As you can see, it says it already exists, so it's not gonna allow us. Anyway, moving forward, um, the other thing that I had to work on here was the policy. I've already explained about the policy that I created a policy that requires tags to be assigned to resource groups. The key vaults, I already spoke about the key vaults. So if you open any of the resource groups, you realize that if you go to IAM and then rows, then you scroll down, you should be able to see the key vaults. The key vault. I would like to think that the key vault exists, but it probably, or maybe we might need to refresh so that we can be able to see the key vaults. So apparently it looks like the keyboard was not assigned to some reason. Or maybe we have to come through here and then we check here and then we open here and then that's when we can see the key vault. Let's see. Yes, the key vault. So according to the requirements again of the organization, we're required to make sure that the marketing users they gain the contributor um, permission, because there are so many different permissions that they could have been granted. Take for instance, if you would come here and try and add a role that could have been put to be a keyboard administrator or keyboard certificate officer, and then the requirement was that we should just make them a keyboard contributor. Um, so yeah, this is pretty much the configuration that I made um, to try and enhance security in this cloud environment that belongs to SWBTL. So I'm just trying to think if there could be something that I could be leaving behind that I could have slid out of my mind. But these are just pretty much the configurations that were made to make it work. So the other thing that I was thinking about that I probably forgot to talk about was how the creating keywords is going to help protect data in transit as well as data that is in situ or data that is being stored that is not in transit, um, or which is data at rest. That had just slipped out of my mind. I just thought I should just say data in situ, which is data at rest. So data in rest and data in transit. So the key vaults, they help us be able to, if encryption keys are created or if encryption secrets are created, they can be all they can all be stored in the key vault, and hence therefore the key vault, it has a front end um, server that kind of like requires all clients that are trying to access that key vault to be running on a TLS 1.2 encryption standard. So that's going to help for the data in transit. So if the TLS is combined with the secrets, it kind of like if the secrets are implemented with the TLS 1.2, which is the current version that is required of all applications trying to access this key vault, this will kind of like pretty much enhance, you know, data protection, or the data as it is being transferred from one place to another, or as it is in transit, so to say. So all applications that require access to that specific key vault will be required to be running on that TLS 1.2. So more information is stated. I was actually reading more about it and getting to understand it better um, as I was doing this lab. So, well, implementing the secret keys and the SSL, or the secure socket layer, transport layer security, version 1.2, will make it easy for data to be safeguarded as it is being transmitted from one place to another. And then I had already explained that the keyboard just play a big role when it comes to storing and managing the cryptographic keys and secrets. The other thing that I worked on were the backups. So if we go to the backup items, we're going to see that I kind of like established backups for all the VMs, which is the accounting VMs, IT VMs, as well as marketing VMs, because I wasn't able to create backups for the file storage, mainly because of the subscription. So subscriptions kind of like limited us when it comes to that. I'm just going to try and open the backup center so that we can try and see even the backup policies that were created. So the SBWTL backup policy was successfully created, and all the requirements were met. The frequency was meant to be every day, and then the time 7 p.m. The return instant recovery snapshot for 3 days, and then the retention daily backup point 7 p.m. for 45 days. So those were the requirements, and the policy was created according to those requirements. So I'm trying to see the backup jobs. So as you can see, these were the backup jobs. They happened today, and that was when I initiated the backups. So all the backups, as the requirements said, um, all the backups requirements were met, and they are going to be taken care of by the IT department, all the daily backups. And then, yeah, this is pretty much the requirements that I believe were required of me on this specific lab to come up with a secure solution that I believe is going to pretty much enhance security for SBLTL departments or resource groups. So I would like to wrap up this short presentation by thanking you all for taking time to listen to me as I try to walk through this. I know I was moving a little bit faster, but it's just because I've gotten used to doing this after kind of like studying and practicing for a couple weeks. So I believe this should wrap up this presentation, and thank you.